As the world becomes more and more globalized, there is a realization that language, culture, and social status are the economic currency of the future. This idea is based on Bourdieu's social capital theory, which posits that in order to gain status and recognition, individuals strive to increase their sense of community and gain access to information and knowledge, which help to inform their intersectionality of identities. With this in mind, the field of second language education has become increasingly more responsive to this realization. In particular, the impact of sociocultural components on language learning is being explored, especially where language learner investment acts as a predecessor to language learning success. Investment relies on a measure of the learner's identity, including race, gender, socioeconomic background, intercultural competencies, perceived language usefulness, their trajectory of study, respective efforts, communal practices, and past, present, and imagined communities. Anya, 2017.
When speaking about the term access, we're referring to a language learner's relationship to their imagined language community. An imagined language community is defined as the target group a language learner wishes to integrate into through language acumen, cultural nuance, and learner participation. For the purpose of our study, we are focusing on the following 5 elements as they relate to access: time, opportunities for travel, additional classes, cultural and emotional nuance, and social class positioning. Conducting this study was important to us in order to better understand and inform our pedagogical practices as second language teachers and to aid in our students in engaging more with the target language. Likewise, we find that there is a gap in second language learner research which centers investment and access.
For the purpose of this study, we sought to answer 2 key questions. The first, how does social status, access to a language community, and relationship with the target culture influence language learning investment? And the second, what role does societal pressure and social status play in language learning investment? The following is an expansion of our findings. But first, let us meet our participants.
The first is Steve. He is a 33-year-old male who was born and raised in Taipei, Taiwan. His L1 is Mandarin and Hakka, and he has been learning English for the past 20 years. Currently, he serves as an English teacher in Taipei, Taiwan.
Then there's Carol. She's a 26-year-old female born and raised in Taiwan, but currently resides in the United States, where she has been a graduate student for the past 3.5 years. Her L1 is Mandarin, as she has been learning English for the past 15 years.
The third is Janet. She is a 26-year-old English learner for the past 13 years. She was born and raised in Taipei, Taiwan, and currently serves as a train conductor.
The fourth is Claudia. She's a 26-year-old female born and raised in Accra, Ghana. Her L1s are Fante, English, and Twi, and she has been learning her L2 French for the past 10 years. She has resided in the United States for the past 2 years as a graduate student.
The last is Peter. He is a 59-year-old male, born and raised in Gettendorf, Iowa. His L1 is English and L2 is Spanish, which he has been learning for the past 3 years. Currently, he is employed as a manager at a local brewery.
At the onset of our research, we asked our participants to complete language learner autobiographies. After collecting those narratives, we analyzed each biography in order to code for themes in learner investment. There were a few passages that addressed issues of access. Steve mentioned he was told that English is the most important language, so parents usually send their kids to private organizations to learn English. His parents sent him to a very popular and expensive kindergarten and paid extra money for him to have English classes. Carol said she loved using English to construct knowledge and make friends, but she did feel some challenges. Sometimes she feels there are unspoken expectations that people should give timely intellectual and emotional reactions. And she was previously educated in a learning culture where learners' voices and emotions did not receive that much attention. Likewise, Janet thought English is the most important language, even more so than her native one. Her mother borrowed English conversation textbooks, CDs, and videotapes from the library since she was unable to afford expensive cram school education.
Peter mentioned that living in Colorado, the most common language that he observed spoken beside English was Spanish, and as a practicing Catholic, he attended masses in Spanish and visited some predominantly Spanish communities. Claudia, on the other hand, started learning French at 6 years old and was able to visit the Ivory Coast twice, which totaled 6 months.
As a follow-up to the LLAs, we conducted interviews with the learners as well as triangulated our data between the research team using the academic literature we have read on investment. Prior to our interviews, we hoped to gain further understanding of the intersections of our learners' perceived L2 success and the advantages or disadvantages afforded to them based largely on their L2 language culture and access. We used discourse analysis to do so. We asked our learners the following questions.
1. How did X culture influence your desire to learn the language? 2. Do you believe that you had sufficient opportunities to learn your L2? 3. Did you notice any shift in your personality or self-confidence while you were learning the language? And 4. Were you raised with the belief that learning another language was something that you could do?
Along with the findings listed here, from our discourse analysis, we most notably found that when it comes to access of time, there were no concrete correlations between length of time studying the L2 and the learner's perceived success and acquisition of the language. Likewise, when considering social class positioning, 2 of the participants revealed that financial challenges hindered them from their ability to study abroad or to have extra access to opportunities and resources.
Well, it was a big change for me because a big part of my language learning had been in a classroom up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the environment where everybody spoke French really helped my desire to learn and become better, especially in my oral skills.
Mm-hmm. Those people like who don't really go to English prime school, they become very like slow learners in school, but it's not their problem. I mean, it's just like they don't really get a chance to do it.
I think it hasn't brought me to change myself that much, but it brought me to be aware of the different relationships and the different ways of. For example, actually in Taiwan, sometimes as a learner, I don't feel the need to contribute to the class. I don't feel the need to talk, to share my ideas in the class. And we don't value that.
Right.
But here, sometimes it feels like it's a need or it is required.
Yeah, you almost feel like you are somehow behind if you are not contributing.
If you don't speak, if you don't share, it means you are not contributing to the group.
To the learning.
Sometimes there's this expectation of your contribution to the community.
Yeah. Do you think do you like this, or can it be a little bit daunting sometimes?
I'm in a dilemma there.
As educational researchers, we believe that research should inform pedagogical practices. In light of this notion, we offer the following implications. Teachers should consider the access or lack thereof that their students have to the target language community while providing supplemental resources and opportunities to critically engage with their language learning. Cultural nuance should be an integral part of the curriculum in language education. And finally, there is a crucial need for more research on this topic in order to better inform the field of second language education.
While this study attempted to take a critical look at a language learner's investment, we realized that there is much work to be done.
Therefore, we're committed to continuing this work in order to fill theoretical gaps in the field of second language learning and generate new understanding.